Hello YouTube, it's been a while. I'm going to start by apologizing for my lack of videos recently and apologizing in advance as well because I know I'm not going to have a lot of time for a while to record videos because I've just got really busy with work and stuff. So yeah, sorry about that. The YouTube's been really put on hold at the minute, but hopefully I will be back soon with some good videos. But for today, I'm going to show you something I've been playing with recently, which I think is pretty cool. If I go to dribble here quickly. So I've been developing this kind of watercolor style for a project I'm working on at the minute. We've changed direction a little bit, but I was pretty happy with this kind of, we got the watercolor texture here on the paper and the slow bleeds of the ink and the lines and stuff. So I thought I'd do a little video quickly and show you guys how to achieve this kind of style, and hopefully you can use it in some projects and it will look really cool. I'm going to jump into Illustrator to begin with and just show you a quick breakdown of the mountain I drew. So this was really rough, to be honest. It's just one big outline here, which is the main outline, dead simple, and then I've got these darker areas and then just some really simple lines. To draw this I literally just had an image in the background, used the pen tool to draw this outline here, and then I drew some dark areas just where there were shadows, and then using the line tool, this one here, for these little lines here, I just kind of dragged out, so like as if it was shaded by a pencil. But yeah, dead easy, looks pretty cool. I'm sure you guys are all capable of doing that. So yeah, let's begin to animate this thing. So if I quickly save this, I've also got a few assets that you guys will need, which I'll set up a Dropbox and give you a link to all of this. But yeah, this is my mountain here. You're going to need this, which is like a paper texture. You can find your own on the internet really easily though, but I really liked this kind of look. And then I found this video on YouTube called Some Ink Splatters. I've actually got the link open here. I'll link you to this video as well, by MikaelPal. And yeah, this is basically just a video of some nice ink which we're going to use to complement the watercolor style, which is pretty cool. And finally, I've got some general watercolor texture stuff going on here. So we're going to jump into After Effects and start to bring this to life. So first of all, we'll go to the project panel and we'll import our assets. So we will go to Documents, Tutorials, and I've set it up somewhere. Here we go. I'm going to bring the mountain in first, and we will open a new composition with this. First of all, I'm going to create outlines out of my sketches. We will delete the rest. Awesome. Alright, then we'll bring in the paper texture, the ink splatters, and the watercolor. We'll make a new folder quickly and we'll call this ink and textures. And we'll just quickly throw all of these into our new folder. And we'll drop in the paper texture at the back. We will rotate this just so it's the right sort of size of our composition, something like that. So we've got this cool little rough paper look. And what I also did as well is if we add a new solid, kind of go for a pale orangey yellowy color, something like that. And we'll put this right to the background. We'll set this to overlay. Maybe not overlay. Actually no, I didn't do anything on this one, but I just dropped the opacity so the effect's not as strong, to say 50. Yeah, something like that looks really cool. And then this will be our paper texture, so we'll lock these layers and we can shine and hide these layers too. Awesome. So let's start to animate this. So basically what I did was I've been playing around with an effect called roughen edges, I believe. Roughen. Let's just type in roughen and see. Roughen edges. This is a really cool effect. So instantly it makes the illustration look a bit more hand-drawn, which is really cool, as you can see here. And you can stretch out all the parameters to make it, this kind of like brings the border in, how much it's roughened basically. And then you've got sharpness. If you want it really sharp, you jack that up. Or if you want it smooth, you can lower it, and it makes like a blurred sort of outline. I found one was actually quite nice. And for these dark areas, I actually just kept the preset pretty similar to what it was, because it's quite a nice effect. And I also applied this to the, so you can copy it up here, paste it on the lines. This makes them disappear because they're really thin, so we need to adjust the borders. I think I ended up using something like 0.20. Yeah, that's the one. And then maybe we'll play around with the edge sharpness, like maybe put this at a bit higher, maybe 5.5 or something. And how is that looking? I'm on half resolution, so it's hard to see. It's looking pretty cool. So we've kind of got this more of a sketchy feel instantly. And finally we'll add it to our outline as well. I'm going to copy the first effect because that one was probably closer to what we want on this. Maybe not. Let's jack this up a little bit to down, sorry. Maybe about 2. Yes, now we've got this smooth sort of line. So yeah, this was like the majority of the effect, was this kind of roughen edges. It looked really nice. And then if we go back to the animation quickly, so as you see, we've got this kind of paint on effect here, complemented by a paint on going up the mountain to give it some like kind of color, and a few ink drops. So we're going to go ahead and build that. It's really simple stuff. For the outline to begin with, we're going to toggle down here and add a trim path. So this is a simple just draw on. I've taught you guys how to do this before. So if we do keyframe at 0, we'll come forward 30 frames maybe, put it to 100%, and we'll just do a quick bit of graph editor work. Zoom in so I can see. So I want a nice sort of fast to really trailed slow motion at the end. So I'm going to add, when it gets to a certain point, like maybe here, I like that. We're going to add another keyframe. Which one is it again? Oh no, this, I'm thinking of cinema. This one here. Drag this up so we get really fast motion. Try and make a cool curve here. So, oh yeah, by the way, you can select here, and one of these, that one here. If you click this, it fits the whole selection to your screen, so you can see perfectly what your curve is looking like. So I want to try and just make a smoothish curve. Might have to bring this one forward a bit more. But this will basically go really fast to slow, I believe. Let's do a RAM. Let's have a look at what this looks like. So we got a nice trail at the end, which is what we want. Yeah, something like that. That's cool. Obviously you guys can play with whatever style you want more. So yeah, that's the outline done. We'll jump out of Graph Editor. For the shading lines, if we go back to the GIF, you can see they kind of have this kind of bleed on feel. And this is actually, when you combine rough and edge with just a mask, you get some really nice results. So if we do the, I'll show you on the shading first. So by making a mask, if we open up the feather, if we increase feather to say 150, and then when you play with the expansion, you get this cool kind of inky, blotchy kind of load on, which is really nice. I really like this effect. So if we get to where we can't see it, so about here, we'll plot a keyframe. Oh, sorry, hang on. We'll do this when it will start when we get to about halfway. So here, and then we're gonna have it bleed for a bit longer, maybe, and then we'll jack this up so we can see the whole fill. So let's have a look how that's looking. Do a quick render. So now we've got this cool bleed on effect as well. This is pretty nice. Wicked. For this I'm just going to add some real simple easing. So if we go F9, open the graph editor, we'll just pull these forward a little bit. And that'll do for that. And we're literally going to do the same thing for these line effects. You could have them, I played around with having them all drawn individually, but I wasn't too keen. So you can do this trim path, and then you get all the groups for all the different lines we got going on. But you can actually set this to individual, and then if you were to plot 100% here, no, 0%, sorry, 0%, and then if you come forward and put 100, you'll get this kind of, well, they all sketch on, but maybe you're after that look. I personally wasn't a huge fan. It seemed a bit slow, and yeah, it wasn't really what I was looking for. I wanted something to be kind of smooth, nice reveal, and I found the mask effect worked a lot nicer. So I'm actually going to delete this trim path because it's not what I want, and I'm going to hit U, and we're going to animate the mask again. We'll do it similar timing with this one as well. Again, we're going to add a feather. These ones are a little bit harder to see, so if you turn this off, it means you don't get lines when you're adding the feather. So let's add a feather of something like 300, and then we'll play with the expansion. So yeah, we'll plot a keyframe, come forward, and do it until we can see all of our lines. Like so. This one here toggles, so see when I'm selecting a layer you can see all the outlines. If I toggle that, they turn on and off. The shortcut is Command-Shift-H, I believe. Yeah, Command-Shift-H. Then you can turn that on and off without clicking the icon, which is pretty useful. Again, we're going to quickly jump into here, just add some simple ease out and in. Wonderful. So yeah, if I do a render now, we've got this kind of blotchy, inky kind of reveal, which I thought looked pretty cool. And then we're going to sell this image a bit more. If we go back to the GIF, you can see we've got this kind of ink going up here, which is pretty cool. I'm going to show you how to get this watercolory effect. So what we're going to do is close all these up. If we get to where we can see our whole illustration of the mountain, like so, just with the pen tool, we're going to just drag a rough line the size of our mountain, so something like this. We'll turn the fill off, and so we're going something like this, which covers most of our mountain. I can't remember. Yeah, leave it black. So yeah, we've got this line here. Now what we're going to do is just call this brush stroke 1. We're going to then apply another roughen edges to this, and this is when we're going to really jack up the sort of values here, and it makes a really nice effect. So say if we go to like, let's try 70, see we get this kind of like a more feathered edge, I guess. We'll do 70, we'll play around with these, how do we want that? we don't want that as sharp because it's kind of, watercolors are kind of blurry. So let's go for about an 80. I'm going to leave that at 1. Let's go 110 on that one. The stretch, I believe I played with, this is the one. If you jack this up, you get this kind of more stretched out smeary look, which kind of resembles the watercolor. I don't want it too stretched out though, so I'm going to go maybe 2, maybe a bit lower, 1.7. Yeah, that's looking kind of nice. And if we play with the evolution, we can kind of, because our mountain's kind of going in this direction, I want it to be painted on in that sort of direction as well. So yeah, that's quite nice looking. And we're going to do the same thing again, just add a trim path. And we're going to go 0. Going to come forward. I want it to kind of get halfway again, so maybe about here. We'll start here. I want this to be a bit slower, so maybe about here. And we'll jack it up to 100%, which is pretty cool. So we've now got this draw on. We're now going to quickly right click and go pre-compose, and we're going to call this watercolor. And we'll jump into here, and we're going to truck in our watercolor effect. We're going to right click, pre-compose, and we're going to type brush stroke. So now we can alpha matte our stroke. So now we draw on a watercolor, which you're probably thinking that does not look very good. But if we add a few more effects, and we're going to chuck this behind all of this stuff. So now we've got this watercolor drawing on our mountain. Then we can come to here, and on the watercolor effect, which was the texture we had, if you add a tint, we can then convert it to black and white, which I really liked the black and white look because I think it looked more, well, because I'm drawing a mountain, it looked like a mountain, so I thought that was cool. And then here, I'm just going to knock the opacity back a bit, maybe 50%. So now we've got this cool kind of water textured looking draw on, which I think looks pretty nice. And if you wanted to color this, you would just add a hue and saturation. So say you wanted it to be bright green or so. Let's go for a whole bright green. If you click colorize here now, you get these options. You can find the sort of color you want. So let's go for a green. You can adjust the saturation to being very vivid if that's what you wanted, or you can have it more subtle. So I'm going to go for a bit of a subtle green. Let's make this a bit lighter. Yeah, I'm sort of happy with something like that. It's relatively cool, I guess. Now we got this more subtle green color writing onto our mountain, which is pretty cool. But to really sell the effect, because watercolors bleed, so when you paint with a watercolor, you would do a stroke and then they will really bleed out, and that's what helps sell this effect more. So to get that bleed, we're going to play with the stroke a bit more. I'm just going to quickly composition settings, make this white so we can see what we're doing. So we have this brush stroke animating on, which is fine, but we're going to make it a little bit nicer. So we're going to go into the effects, the shape, and we've got the stroke settings here. We're going to, from the first frame, we're going to put a keyframe on the stroke, and we're going to come through to the end. So this is where it's being written on. We're going to go even further to emphasize the bleed, and we're going to put a keyframe here. So here we're going to start at maybe a stroke width of 10. And we're going to come all the way. So now we kind of get this more of a bleedy feel. It's kind of, maybe 10's a bit too small. Let's try 20. Maybe our roughen's too strong to begin with. So what we're going to do is, it will be the border. We're going to put a keyframe on the border about here. We'll add the effects panel is no fun sometimes. Right, then we've got the keyframes here. So we're going to keyframe 70, and to begin with, we'll have a look. So we'll bring this down so we can see our stroke. Let's go for 47 right at the start. So now we get kind of this paint draw on, and then this bleed, which is looking a lot nicer. Well, quickly, when I think of watercolors, I think of a quick to slow motion in the wrist flick. So we'll just animate the end position quickly. So I'm going to go super quick to slow. Maybe not that slow. Let's try that. Let's do a render of that. Now we got this kind of bleed effect, which is pretty cool. So let's get you. Let's maybe just do some simple easing on these. I'm not particularly worried about for the border, but we're going to do a quick to slow on our thickness of our scale as well. So we're getting this really slow bleed towards the end. I think I'd prefer it if it was even more of a bleed. So let's get to about here. We'll put in a keyframe, similar to how we did the mountains line drawing on. We're going to try and smooth this out so it comes on really quick and bleeds out really slowly. Let's try that to be a bit smoother. Something like that. How does that look? Seems we're coming to an end too soon, so we're going to drag this down. And maybe we'll stretch this out even further. Let's have a look at that. So we got this kind of delayed bleed, real slow bleed at the end, which that feels nice. So there, let's go back to our mountain. Let's do a quick preview here. It's looking pretty nice. Yeah, I'm cool with that. The only thing I did as well is, if we look, it's kind of, you can feel like a kind of double layer, which I thought was pretty cool. So literally all I did was, if we were to cut this here, use an Alt close bracket, duplicate the shape and the shape behind, we're going to knock these both to about 50%. We'll just stagger the shape behind, and on this one, the brush stroke at the end, we're going to make even bigger. Like that. Maybe we'll make this one a bit smaller. Oh, I also, sorry, hang on, wait one sec. That was not the right keyframe. Make that smaller. I also, you see how we have this kind of start and end, which is not very cool. What I did here on the layer on the top is I made it go to 90. Maybe not 90. We'll go 95. So then we get bleed at the end, And if we open up the trim path properties, at the start it would start from 5 and the end will be from 5 too. So we get these bleeds at the start and the back. So now when we look at the mountain, okay, that hasn't worked. What was it? Maybe it was a Luma. Oh no, that has worked there. Just not showing up massively here. Maybe because we've made this opacity very subtle. Yeah, okay. So we'll make these a bit more crazy in the opacities. Let's go for a 25. That should hopefully show up now. There we go. So now we've kind of got this faded ink look. These bleeds are a bit possibly extreme for this image. Depends on what style you're going for though, I guess. So I'm relatively happy with that so far. And to complete it, I threw in some ink splats as well, which we will be using this video I found on YouTube. So let's make a pre-comp of the ink splats. So now we got some ink splats here, and then what you want to do is just zoom in on the video. So this, I'm going to use this first one, which finishes there. So I'm going to make a duplicate. So we've got an ink splats 2 on this one. I'm going to hit, from here, hit N to close my time, and we'll go to, how do you do this again? Composition, trim to work area. So now we've got a video just of the length of this ink splat, and then we'll find on the second ink splat, we'll find another one. Some of these are quite crazy. Maybe we'll just use number 2. So we'll get to the first frame, hit B, come to the end, hit N, and we'll do the same. Where is it? Trim comp to work area. So now we've got these 2 ink drops. We can throw these in our layer, and if we turn these to track mode, multiply, this removes all the white. So now we've just got the ink splats. Let's lock everything first so we can move these around. So let's chuck one here and one here. That will do. We'll make these a bit bigger. Maybe we won't. We'll leave it. I forgot these are slow bleeders. Here we go. Okay, cool. So now we've got these ink drops. I'm just going to put one here and one here. Maybe I'll adjust the rotation on this one so it looks like it bleeds up the side of the mountain. Maybe this one will bleed more into the floor. And we're going to add a hue and saturation and a tint, as I explained earlier. So now on the hue and saturation, we're going to colorize, and if we bring the lightness up, I believe, here we go, we can control which color we get more. Might be too light. Ah, no, we don't add a tint. The tint is what's messing that up. Sorry about that, guys. So now we can get as vivid as a color as we want. I kind of want more of a subtle look, so I'm going to bring the lightness more up so we get less color. And then I'm going to go for this kind of green here, so say this was grass. I'm quite happy with that. Copy this onto the other ink, and maybe we'll go for some sort of yellow, so it looks like, or a cool blue actually. So this is cold mountain. We'll hit N and render. And that is slow because we got loads of textures. I just preview that, that's pretty much finished now, right? So yeah, now we've got this kind of slow ink reel. This kind of still feels a bit too fast here, these black bleeds, so I might adjust these a tiny little bit to suit the style more, because we've got nice bleeds here. So let's have these bleed on more. We'll do a half render so we can see what's going on. My phone is going off and distracting me. Let's turn that off. How does the timing of that look? We probably don't need to render 5 frames. Cool, yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this. Maybe I'll stagger these a bit as well, so they don't come on straight away. But yeah, this is the basic idea. I also, what did I do? I added a cool adjustment layer kind of thing. So if we go new layer, adjustment layer, and I put a, what was it? It's a brightness contrast, which I thought looked pretty cool. And then I applied a wiggle, I believe, of, say, how does this work here? I think it's 2 every 1 second. It will work 2 times, and we'll pay like 50 for now. See how this works. This should give you like a flicker. Yeah. So I'm going to drop that down to 1, and maybe half that, 25. So then we get this kind of like flicker, as if maybe it's been recorded from a camera, and we've got light which is adjusting, making the camera's light change, makes it feel a bit more real. Again, that's a bit too much still. I'm going to put it down to 10. And then yeah, we've got this kind of like sketchy, inky, drawn on effect, which I thought was pretty cool. So I thought I'd make a video to share with you guys, because I'd like to see this style being used by you guys in some cool projects, hopefully. I will be releasing my video version of this, I'm not sure, maybe within a month, I guess, where we've got everything ready. We're going to start animating next week, hopefully, if our voice artists come back to us and stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out. You might see my version of this soon, and I'd like to see what you guys can do with this effect too. Again, I'm going to apologize for the lack of videos recently, and I'm probably not going to be able to record any soon either, because I've just been super busy, and I'm only getting busier at the moment, which is good for me but bad for you possibly. But if you stay loyal to the channel, I promise I will make some videos as soon as I can. Yeah, as usual, do the liking, the sharing, the subscribing. And actually, if I go to my YouTube, we've actually got a relatively big following these days, which is pretty cool. What are we on? There we go, getting close to 1,000 and 20,000 views. That's jumped up a lot. So yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. It's really reassuring that what I'm making is pretty cool and you guys are enjoying it. So I will try to bring more videos out. But as always, I've been Matt Wilson, and thanks for watching. Have a good day, guys.